working on the farm.
Yep.
Immersion.
Sounds like farms.
Yes. We're heading back to the immersion mining shed with immersion fluid.
This was good.
We gotta hurry up and just get to the leaking part so we can just be done with it. Hey, puppy. Hey. Hey. What are you doing? Are you a good girl? Are you a good girl? You don't like the camera on your face? Me either. You want a treat? You want a treat? Let's go! Let's go! Today we're going to be installing the biggest and most industrial immersion mining deployment you've probably ever seen. We're going to be deploying the 6 ASIC miner immersion cell by BiXBiT. What's up? I'm Boss. It's Miss Vosk. And just check this thing out. Look at this stuff. The immediate question is, what is this and why? It's basically liquid cooling your Bitcoin and other ASIC mining rigs, which leads to increased equipment longevity and lifespan, as well as increased mining profitability. Oh man, just never a dull day in the life. We're pouring concrete. Told the concrete contractor we don't have running water out there. He shows up, he says, "Where water, buddy?" And well, I guess that means I'm filling 55-gallon drums all day. These are 2, and I just got back from filling another one. Oh man.
Dennis, what do you think of the concrete pad?
Looks pretty good.
Receiving this, unpacking it, looking through the directions, getting familiar with everything. This is very advanced. It's basically a day. It's a very big freight delivery, which is, freight deliveries are a whole endeavor, you know, in their own right, especially, you know, from a small, like a DIY guy point of view, or even from, you know, a smaller mining farm, medium-sized mining farm business, especially if you're not always on site at your mining farm. So if you have to travel there, get there, and accept the delivery, it's essentially one day of, you know, receiving, unboxing, and studying. So the game plan is to just focus. Well, the game plan is to focus on the big one. But I do want to erect both dry coolers today. So we'll have a double erection, and so there'll be a dual erection out here, and yeah, yeah, and then we're gonna just focus on the 6 miner unit, and then see what happens.
Okay.
The camera's like so vertical.
Oh yeah, this one works.
All I have is this impact. So Dennis said that we would have this erected in 25 minutes. It's been longer than 25 minutes. But we're getting there. Hey, nice tool choice.
Pretty nifty, eh?
Pretty nifty, eh?
Alright guys, I've been dispatched to go to Home Depot. This will be the second trip today. First one I got some take a look at Dielectric and just run through like some hardware stuff. And we couldn't find any screws to mount the actual dry cooler to the stands. We found some for the smaller one, but we're not able to locate them for the larger one. So I'm going to go pick those up real quick while they mount the smaller dry cooler onto the stand. And I think I'll also pick up lunch.
Dennis, you gotta try one of these, man. You never had a fry quite like this.
Uh-oh.
Just take it for a spin. It's your worst nightmare. Is it good? What's your review of the fried pickle dickle?
They taste like fried pickles.
And do you like fried pickles?
I am not a fried pickle fan, no.
He can't take anymore. It's freaking burger shots. Burger shots.
Oh no!
What? Oh!
Oh!
Oh, pickle
Pickle!
Pickle Rick! So we've worked with BiXBiT before, years ago, on a review of their firmware. And we wanted to review their immersion system. So they agreed to send us this unit to review. But to our surprise, they also threw this one in as well. So it just showed up and we're like, oh my God, what's going on? This is a huge package. Depending how you deploy this, it's a 2 to 3 miner cell. So this is basically their big kit. We're gonna call it the BiXBiT, and this is the little bit. And Alexa's gonna kill me if she hears me saying that stuff. But I think it's funny. And the point is that this one comes with a smaller dry cooler as well. Can you show me where the 6 miner dry cooler, the height of it is with the orientation that they sent from the factory? So that's above our roof line. I'm stuck, step bit.
So,
You want to put the dry cooler in between?
yes, we're going to drop it between here.
You get one?
We were only looking at the depth. We were not looking at the width.
Alex always says it's cheesy. Yeah, well, maybe she's right. Dream Team's getting shirts, let's go. Just when you thought that I wouldn't try to get us all matching again. Alexa didn't even know about this one. This isn't what she's talking about. No, I got these 6 shirts. And it's even funnier, because Colby's a DeWalt guy.
Very cool indeed.
This is a different shirt blend too. It's more of like a athletic shirt blend or whatever, so.
Thank you, sir.
So for the purpose of this video, this is basically the electric component to the 6 cell, okay? This is the dry cooler fan component to the 6 cell. This, and I like the way they did this one better, is one box that's basically an all-in-one for the 3 miner cell. So make sure that you have a master electrician on hand, because this was difficult to work through. I spent and maybe it's because this is kind of getting out of my comfort zone, a bit beyond my experience and capabilities, right? But these are some of the documents and information, install guide stuff that I have, schematics. So when we look at these, and some of these are mixed, so I need to break these out into the correct ones. But you can see that like you're gonna need to trace all of these wires to the correct components, ensure these things are wired on the right breakers, to determine what the thermo relay is, what is the internal circuit pump, the power supply switch, and then come into these panels and track these down. These wires did have numbers labeled on them. And so it's kind of like a game of deductive reasoning, right? Or process of elimination, I should actually say. So, you know, we install this and say, okay, that one's done. And we go to the next one, we go to the next one. And essentially everything should have its spot. This is a solid copper wire. They recommend only running copper. So BiXBiT did supply me with everything I need for the install, other than really the source electric wire and a few wires I ended up needing in between the components, right? So you'll see like my white Romex here. This is a very big, a very expensive wire. We ran it around the top of the shed here over to the panel. Due to the size, we had to add an additional junction box because we basically just didn't have any more room to get into the building. So let's go around. Look, we found the beautiful Alexa again. So let's go to the panel. So we've got panel A and panel B. This is a 400 amp single phase installation. So looking at the way this is wired, right? I've got a 400 amp service. I've got two 200 amp breaker mains. So I need to divvy this up properly, right? So I have the two BiXBiTs that will be installed over here. 125 amp breaker was recommended for the big one, and a 50 amp breaker was recommended for the smaller one. Personally, with the way that I plan to run these miners, I think that this install will use less than 80 amps on the 6-cell miner, so that's labeled incorrectly there. And then we go over and look at the other panel, and I pretty much have this one close to capacity with the DCX and fog hashing immersion systems deployed on there, which equates to 14 S19 Bitcoin mining rigs. So I really cannot understate that this is like the boss battle. This is expert level stuff. When it comes to using the BiXBiT immersion system, you need to wire it up like it's supposed to be ran. And that means that you need to utilize this entire service. You will need to figure out and wire everything exactly, correctly, and appropriately where it's supposed to go. If you miss one thing, it's potential that the whole system may not even work. This is very high quality equipment. Oh. This is a little key, opens these. And these are like 3-phase warehouse style type systems. And again, this is single phase. So this is a single phase system that they have developed. But I mean, it's very interesting, right? Ooh, you always got to enjoy that. That they have a VFD. I am so intrigued to see this. I hope that we have it set up right and that it works for our system. But a VFD is basically a fan controller. It modulates the power and thus the speed of your fan, which means it's the dry cooler controller. Turn it up, more power consumption, and more cooling. Then we have spent an entire day working on the dry coolers being installed. Like, so again, yeah, we're doing 2, so you know, take that for what it's worth. But you know, this has taken the whole day, and we're thankful that they sent us this super strut, that they sent us this, you know, as a kit to install. That's not always provided with their equipment, but we did not receive the bolts from them for the bigger dry cooler. We also unbolted it, so it's going to make it easier to go and lift it and put it on here. So we did not receive the 4 bolts that we needed for this. Then the bolt size that goes in there, it was not drilled for the right size. So we have a picture of the smaller one being test fit. I don't think that this one was ever actually test fit. This was never actually like truly installed. And now we're looking at it, it's going to be taller than the freaking mining shed. So we're thinking about cutting the super strut in half and bringing this dry cooler down, because I don't really want this dry cooler up that high for, you put something up heavy up, even higher. The whole just equation of that is worse, right? Then if it's taller than the building, it's going to be hit with a lot more wind and environmental aspects. If it's lower, it's much more shielded by this building, which is part of the point of this building. So looking at it, if we brought it down, it would still be taller than the smaller dry cooler. I mean, this thing is big, right? I mean, look at this thing. That's my foot. right? Obviously. Thank you for telling me that's your foot, Vosk. Sorry, it's been one of those days. So I have one day in receiving and unboxing and research studying. Then I have day 2 in electrical. Easy. Really, it was more than one day, but let's kind of round it, right? So I've got 2 days in. Then I've got a day into concrete because it soaked up a lot of my day bringing water out here. And if I had done the entire install of the concrete pad myself, easily a day for me, because this is just made, out of bad concrete, quickcrete. So then we're in 3 days. Now, day 4, we have unsuccessfully erected both dry coolers. So if everything speeds up and goes smoothly, best case, this will be a 5 workday installation on this. And it's just frustrating because you just want to get it done. The plumbing aspect of this is it's very industrial. So we haven't even gotten to that part of it. The upside is this is very nice equipment. I mean, this is high-end industrial stuff. If you go to some, properly set up warehouse with, either high electrical consumption equipment, things like that, you'll see power panels like this. VFDs are an expensive component. This is very advanced. This is very difficult. And then hitting these hurdles. I mean, Alexa's gone to Home Depot 4 times today, or three times today. That's all I got. That's where we're at. It's getting late. It's about to storm, and I guess I will see you on day 5. That is cold. It's getting cold out here. I printed off the full install. Dennis is here again. He's got his new hoodie. He's pretty excited about it. It's nothing to do with me. No cool merch straw. It's Colby over there. He's doing stuff. Me, I'm printing stuff. We hope to finish erecting the dry coolers, work on the plumbing, basically get the coolant in the system, get the immersion fluid in the system, simply get the system up and operational and running. And to be frank, with the complex nature of what we're working on here, I'm hoping to just have functioning immersion systems by the end of the day. I'm not even expecting to drop the miners in the fluid today. It's about 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we'll see where this goes. Last time we said the dry coolers were going to take 45 minutes. They took a whole day. We didn't even finish it. Man,
That was a lot easier than I thought.
that made quick work of it.
Wait, Drew.
Hey, safety first. Who are you guys laughing at? Colby got me these. He said they're brand new. Now we got our spare super strut too. Back with more plastic. Come here, Kurt. I think I did something. That's pretty big. Yep.
Height?
I am much happier now that we cut this down a little bit, because otherwise this would have been way up in the air, very difficult to raise that much weight that high and then have it possibly get a gust of wind and it just blow completely back.
Yeah, we haven't even got the fan strut on yet. It's impossible to put this up as one piece unless you're freaking Arnold. I mean, yeah, or just have a small frame. Alright, fingers on the bottom block. Come to me. Come to me. Yep. Box. The plumbing. The plumbing aspect of this install was very difficult. We hit a lot of hurdles between either us being inexperienced, unclear directions, missing parts, or just hard to understand some of these diagrams, easily interpreted in another way. And I'm not looking to point fingers. I'm not, here to blame anyone. The bottom line is we made a lot of mistakes along the way for whatever reason. And we had some leaks. We had to redo some connections. We changed some of the materials we did. Some of the pumps needed their orientation, either, completely changed, flipped. The motors had to be moved. There were a lot of modifications we made along the way. I want to make a key note here that Loctite, I think Loctite, like we don't want the bolt to back out on the car, or we don't want our red dot screws to back out, right, on your pistol or whatever. But this is a different type of Loctite that they later recommended to us after the thread sealant we were using, this Blue Monster stuff from Home Depot, was just not getting it done. This key part, Loctite 55 pipe sealing cord, was critical in our redemption tour, as you'll see as we go through this. But I wanted to bring this up, right? Because you have to watch this whole video in order to try to recreate what we did, if that's what you want to do. Because at this stage, if you're following along, you're gonna have to redo many things. And I don't want you to have to go through that. Redoing work is just incredibly frustrating. All right, so we are using a sealing material, which per the directions we are supposed to do. On this kit, we are trying Teflon tape. On the 2 to 3 miner kit, we've used same brand, but their pipe thread sealant. We need an O-ring. O-ring coming in. O-ring required. So LAN O-rings, LAN party. Right now, Colby's wrapping it up. Teflon tape. Oh, you pulled it after all the effort. Oh my gosh. We're living in a lawless land. So, what's that green thing? Pump. That's a pump. That's the big pump for the BiXBiT. So this little guy is attached to the overflow tank. Cut it off. Colby says the cork washer or something like that. Something like that. It's not your normal washer. This is the pump for the 2 to 3 miner BiXBiT immersion system. It's a Wheelo pump. So there's a Wheelo pump on the 2 to 3 miner unit, and there's a significantly bigger and heavier dab pump on the 6 miner unit. We're working through these installations in tandem. So we have 2 drain valves. They're both different for some reason. Why? Doesn't make sense.
Same thread pitch, same valve throw, and same exhaust side. But because of the way the valve is oriented, we can't get it to spin around the threaded base for the super strut. And I would be scared to break this valve sticking out personally. I would not want to do it beforehand.
Yeah.
So all we gotta do is take those bolts out, lift up.
Or use a screw or a wrench with automatic bleeders.
Up here we have automatic bleeders. This is the automatic bleed valve on the BiXBiT 6 miner. This is the automatic bleeder valve on the Little Bit. It's the opposite of the BiXBiT. This is the 2 to 3 miner dry cooler. It's a bleeder valve that automatically bleeds. They're spec'd out to use with drain valves, but they don't really fit once you get it installed. So you'd have to do it before you install it, and we're not taking this off. It's goop time! Dennis, you're missing, hold on Dennis, you're missing your goop.
No, I already got gooped mine.
You already gooped up.
Are you gooped up?
I'm a quick gooper.
He gooping on the low. It ain't
Assistant gooper.
it ain't gooping if you got it. So let's count all the different connections here that could possibly leak. Let's see, and you guys call me out if I miss any. So we have 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna say.
There's a pressure blow-off valve that shouldn't leak.
Yeah, we're gonna call that 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, dare say 20, 21, 22, 23, 24-ish, 25, 26, probably not, but 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37,
Yeah, and that's if nothing fails.
37 points of leaking failure.
That's just on the inside too. I haven't even gone outside.
All right, so it's been about 6 hours. Crypto Avengers still here. We're still working on the install. Still installing. So on the 6 miner BiXBiT, we have 2x4 cut. We've got the expansion tank mount here installed on the wall. We have the majority of the plumbing manifold put together, and then on the 2 to 3 miner BiXBiT cell install, we have the manifold mounted on the wall. We hope we have it right. We have it installed per their instructions and diagram as far as the flow goes, specifically modeled after this picture in the 55-page instruction book.
This picture shows the pump on the other side. There's the pump there, whereas this one shows it on this side. So we're going off of this one and hoping that.
But the flow matches either way. The pump is just in a different position. When we look at the actual markings on the plumbing aspect of this, like we have the mesh filter right here, the flow points a different direction. The drain valve seems to be on the wrong side given the flow orientation that we've installed per the instructions. But at the end of the day, the pump sets the flow, and so we're gonna install this like they told us to. 1, hope it works. 2, more importantly, I guess maybe, hope it doesn't leak. So we've also completely erected the dry coolers. Dry coolers are up, huge, and installed. I'm really glad that we cut it down. The orientation of this is much better, especially with the roof line of the immersion mining shed. The drain valves do not work. The automatic bleeders up top on both of these dry coolers have been installed, and we got another piece of wood to act as a little bit of extra support here on this massive dry cooler. I mean, just look like, put this into perspective. You know, I fit inside of it, right? And even the smaller dry cooler, still pretty large. And you know, to contrast that, right? Like we've installed the DCX and fog hashing dry coolers. The fog hashing dry cooler is pretty large, but utilizing the same fan size as the DCX cooler. But you know, this is just for comparison perspective. This is spec to cool 6 miners. The DCX one is spec to cool 8 miners, right? And then so we look at the BiXBiT dry coolers. This one is spec to cool 2 to 3 miners, and this one is spec to cool 6 overclocked miners, which in essence, you know, when people think of cooling miners, it could be along the lines of 8 miners, 10 miners, even the electrical consumption of 12 miners. Very big, you know, spec cooling capacity, and quite literally size.
All right, so according to this, we need to mount the external circuit pump with leg 1 going into 10, leg 2 going into 12 and PE, so ground, going into 14. We got 9, 12 here, so legs 1 and 2 are open, and they're getting jump bird power from this circuit, which is just run up to this breaker. And then our ground is this green one, And so all we have to do is wire the pump in through the bottom, terminate it to 9, 12, 13, and the other end to this guy right here. Just pop this cap off and there'll be 3 spots and we'll be good to go.
Did you write that down, everyone?
Yep.
All right, we got bare wire right here, or stripped wire, or something wire. Black is the ground, hot, neutral, single phase.
Yep.
240 volt. What's going on here, Colby? What are we doing?
So the reason we left this ground long is so that if either of these pull out first, the ground is still connected. So this is the last thing to disconnect if you were to yank it. So that way you can short all of your current through the ground. This is a safety thing. So this will feed in through these cable grips, get fed line, neutral, and ground, and then we're good to go. And then we'll have to terminate it on the other side.
And this is something you have to do in this BiXBiT 6 miner cell installation. This pump does not come with some kind of pre-wired option or any kind of plug. To contrast though, with their 2 to 3 miner kit, it comes with a different pump, and this Wheelo pump has a plug interface. So you wire it to your panel, and then that plug wire is just wired into the panel, and it comes out and then plugs into the pump, making the second step much easier. But I mean, if you're doing the 6 miner install, you're wiring this panel and this panel. So
This is nothing.
what's a pump at that point?
9.
We're working out of their diagram versus what we've already wired.
So, you see these are bridged. These two are
Yeah.
the same. Doesn't matter.
Okay.
But these wires are where we need to go. I don't know where these are supposed to go.
Tough day at work, huh, Tails? What are you doing? Hey. You could go. Captain's log, entry number 191 of the BiXBiT install. They don't know about this yet, but this I got a pipe wrench now, and it's not as big as theirs. I thought it was a little bit bigger. We're working on the BiXBiT install again. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
I'm late.
Morning.
I'm late. Check out my new pipe wrench, smaller than yours. Thought it was the same size when I ordered it. Oh man, look at that thing. You know, this is a classic guy problem. You think yours is always bigger than it really is.
Since you were late, we flipped the pump on that side. Now,
Dang, that was pretty fast.
it doesn't really sit right on the hooks anymore,
Nice.
but wanted your input before we moved that.
I was hoping it wouldn't be a
Then-
problem.
We're flipping this pump now, and
Okay.
then from their diagram, it looks like that front part is supposed to face out. So we're currently taking this off because it won't fit anymore. So we need to adjust it so that it gets support somehow.
We're switching the bracket that it was on because now the orientation is kind of different. We're going to use this bracket over here on the 6 miner, which is 12 inches long. This one, well, anyway, we swapped the brackets, but now the 2x4 is not in the right spot. And this is the beauty of when you start customizing and DIYing things, or you have to make solutions. It's a process.
Yeah, I tried to see if it pops. I was going to get a little tappy tap.
I feel like, so we don't need to take it apart though, right? We just need to flip it, the whole thing.
You have to. We're flipping the top half around.
Yeah, so this is flipped. So this orientation is correct. Now we take this and rotate it 180 degrees. So the box is on top. I love this either.
Oh, it worked.
What do you mean, oh, it worked?
I
knew it was
thought it
gonna
would
work.
take several hits.
So little faith.
So we have to flip this around in order to match the pump orientation. So the arrows have to go this way, but the electric box has to be on top. So that's why we're doing this.
It's me, Bracket Boy, coming back at you live for another episode of installing brackets with the boys. Ooh, that looks like right there, looking like a good spot right there.
I think. Does it go lower?
That's where the mark is.
Oh, is it?
You don't ever question Bracket Boy. If there's one thing Bracket Boy can do, it's bracket. Fuck yeah, that felt good.
Very.
That's really good.
Colby, what are we doing? And why? Why did it stop us last time?
Well, let me show you. You see these guys? We have to get into these slots down here, and the issue is the wire here is going to fray, just because it's such a nightmare to get in there. And so every time we try to slide it in, a couple wires would get out. We have to retighten it and go from there. So what we're gonna do is put ferrules, which are little crimps that will slide on top of the wire, like so. Then we take this guy, slide it over the top here, squeeze, and now we have this nice fitted section, and it should be easy to go in and no frays.
Yeah, so yesterday I was feeding my sourdough, and then I let it rest and rise, and then I made these blueberry muffins. Sourdough blueberry muffins I made. VoskCoin green wrapper. Oh, it's following me. Yep, I made this. It's like that meme. Right, Alexa?
Yep, you did such a good job. They're amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, Colby wins again. My whole saw kit, and this is what happened on, I think, the DCX install, or maybe the fog hashing install, or maybe both. This is 1 3/4. Smallest I have is a 2-inch hole saw, and when you look at the when you look at the hose that BiXBiT supplied, this is just going to be a better fit. It's going to give us a little bit of wiggle room. Because all the excess you have, oh wow, who did this? Definitely wasn't me. All the excess you have just becomes, you just have to fill it up with silicone. So. Colby! I'm bleeding out. I am, oh my God, I'm a walking hazard. Oh man, I tried to cool guy open it and I almost just deleted my fingerprint. I'm running the thermo relay power cable to the correct location. My electrician only made one mistake out of all of this, and this was not ran to the correct place. But you know, it's pretty difficult to follow, and I thought, I didn't really understand it myself either. I don't know if I'm doing this right. It's probably against OSHA code, but just poked a little hole in the. All right, so we are continuing to work on the thermo relay rewiring. That is the thermo relay right there. Dennis had some nice wire management. Not necessarily my forte these days. Used to be. Running behind the other wires, through the bung, into the electric panel up here. This is for the 6-miner unit, which again is broken into 2 panels, basically this electric panel and then this other electric panel, which in essence is controlling the dry cooler. Colby, what does the thermo relay do?
It triggers when to turn on power to the dry cooler fans, I believe.
And we think that it will, at least I think, you think too, right? That it will ramp the dry cooler up and down based on the temperature inside the immersion tank. You know, which in essence is a very good thing to have. It'll create a responsive system that is spinning the fans or fan as fast as it needs to for proper cooling. All right, VFD, thermo relay, rewired. Check this out. Pin number 5. And then the other one to, what is that, number 9?
Yep.
Number 9.
And we basically just copied the one down here.
And
So we'll see if it works.
And it's also what their customer service said to do.
All right, Dennis, what are we doing?
Moving the cover so that we can begin the wiring process for the
So BiXBiT supplied us with the dry cooler stands along with their mounting solution, which included the fact that we needed to bolt the stands into concrete, and we did that. And then in addition to that, they advised us to run these and anchor them into the building. So basically we didn't want to do this because it's a lot of additional work. It's, I don't think, aesthetically pleasing. And given this scenario and the structure, that we're dealing with, which is a shed and we have plywood walls, to build the bracing inside to make it worthwhile to do this, again, I mean, it's a whole nother day of work when it's all said and done. So what we're doing instead of that, the small dry cooler for the 2 to 3 miner unit honestly is pretty manageable in size, and I don't really have any concerns with it not being back supported. And we have given both of them a little bit of additional support on the front end under the fan shroud with the piece of wood that we've put there. The big dry cooler for their 6 miner unit, I mean, it's a monolithic block. It's huge. And if there's anything that could use back support in this equation, it would definitely be this. But one of the things we did to alleviate this issue was we dropped its center of gravity. We've already talked about why we moved it down. We wanted it below the roof line, didn't want to catch the wind, not aesthetically pleasing. I mean, it's towering over you because it's originally supposed to sit at the bottom of it right here. It's very tall. So by lowering it here, we've lowered the center of gravity, which is good for numerous reasons. It's sheltered by the side of this building, from wind in that direction. And then we have supported the front under it with some wood. And we're going to work on a little bit of additional back support and back bracing in the future. But as it stands, it's leaning forward, and all of the weight is really pushed forward. So if this thing's going to fall over anyway, it's going to be forward. We have the wood there supporting it, and it's something we'll come back and refine a bit. Oh, and they were too short with the way that everything kind of came together. I never really wanted to be a firefighter, but here's my opportunity to work with a bunch of hose. This hose hates me.
So your interior pump, this guy right here, means the water should be flowing this way through the cylinder, or through the cell, because you want the cold fluid going into the pump instead of hot fluid. So generally you always want to have your radiator or your heat exchanger before your pump to just extend the lifespan of it.
Alright, so the cell ships with a bunch of packing foam in it, so we're going to remove that. It's in the back of the cell. It's also in the front of the cell. Dirty, dirty!
The top of the dry cooler should go to this, which is the cold air into this manifold. Comes through here, goes out of here into the cold side on the dual loop. The fluid runs through this way, and then out of this union down here, it's going to the bottom of the dry cooler. Water's flowing through this direction, coming out of there, going as the cold side going in here, flowing through. This union will go to the bottom of the small dry cooler, and then the top of the small dry cooler will be going to here as the return, the hot, or as the cold return.
All right, so we are installing hose number 1 on the BiXBiT.
The impact? Remember the last one we did?
I do.
Goodbye. We gotta hurry up and just get to the leaking part so we can just be done for today.
He's not joking. Alright, what I think Colby's doing is attaching the pump that we got from DCX so we can test this before we put all the fluid in it to make sure there aren't any leaks. Colby's seeing if we can test it with air, but we may have to put water in it to test.
How the bar's looking?
Going up.
I'm pretty happy with that, actually. We're only testing this section, the pump.
Can we
'cause
open
you
the
closed
valve?
it?
Yeah, I've closed the other valves. Well, I figure it's better to kind of systematically do it.
Nah.
That
Do
makes-
the whole thing.
You're a
Sometimes
smart
always
guy.
I like Colby's idea of that. 4 hours later.
Works.
Go.
It's 1.8 bar. Never mind, that won't work.
Pressure.
Do it again, Dennis.
Pressurizing to here.
Do it again, Dennis.
See if the gauge goes up.
Lick it.
Yeah. Lick it for a good seal. Lick it
Open
for
it
thread
up.
seal.
No, why don't you come out of here if I open this
No,
up?
it's not. This is closed.
Dennis, unfortunately,
No bars.
Not enough hot air.
unfortunately,
Bars.
you're not going to become an astronaut.
I'm just holding it close.
Are you taking that off?
Yep.
We're gonna goop it.
Is that the one that's leaking?
Yep.
Yeah.
Technique. So I'm more of a Colby, target to spec. With no spec, we crank it.
Great.
But, based on what you said, let's hook it back up and pressurize it, and if it leaks, then we'll crank. Like, you're all right. I mean, you can't really uncrank. That's just taking it off.
Open them up, baby.
Oh,
Open them up.
Is that back one open?
oh.
Yeah.
I can't see it.
If the valve is in line with the pipe. Crank it down.
Who wants to go outside and check if it's leaking?
It's leaking.
No, it's not. You can hear that one. We're leaking in 2 points out here. There. And this is the same thing we ran into where there's no spot to put an O-ring. There's no end cap for these to spin into to properly seal. And we've applied a lot of sealant.
You guys are freaking goop haters.
That's the other way around it, do you?
We are trying this yet again.
You almost gooped yourself.
We're gooping these again and seeing if they won't turn.
Okay, so tell them what. So we talked to BiXBiT, and it seemed that they said that we needed an O-ring inside of here, but then we asked basically again, differently. And now they're saying that there is no need for a gasket slash O-ring slash whatever here other than thread sealant, which we have codenamed goop. And you can see we're gooping. That's a lot of goop.
All right, Colby removed his watch. We are adding antifreeze. The antifreeze is to reduce the freezing point of the liquid as it goes through the unit so that it does not freeze on the outside. With the BiXBiT delivery, we also received immersion fluid. So that's dielectric fluid. That's what the miners are immersed in. It helps keep them cool, helps run the miners better. And so we had a good experience. We worked with Ryan. He has his own immersion fluid company within the US. So if you're looking for immersion fluid in the US, definitely check out his information. We'll put it in the description below. So he shipped us immersion fluid in 5-gallon jugs on a pallet, and we had a really good experience with that.
Originally we applied the goop to the female threads. You need to apply it to the male threads, get better goop coverage. And the threads along with this thread sealant is literally all that we can hope that will make this a leak-free connection for us here. I just hope that the goop can adhere decently when it's wet. I just looked at my shoulder. Again? My shoulder's out, man. Go. What is that again? What is that again? Oh god, I'm such a bag of used parts.
Dennis just took a face full of antifreeze, True.
Dennis! It's called a BiXBiT. You should get one. My shoulder came out. I had to leave him.
You left. Dennis was still in there and pushed it up.
Oh, I'm still making it out, dude. That's not me this time. I just tell the store. We just shut it down. Day 8. It's still not working. We got leaks on the dry cooler. We were able to, up to a whopping 0.2 bars, which is not very much pressure, get it to a point where it's not leaking on anything internally. But these connections are not sufficient. They do not seal properly. Like, this is leaking and there's nothing we can do. We've thread taped it. We've thread sealed it. We cranked the hell out of it. Still not working. This is the 9th day for the BiXBiT Immersion install. Touchdown here, got the gear. The whole team is almost assembled. Got Alexa running away right here. Got Colby. I got iPro on today, and because I'm not getting coolant in my eyes. Not today. This is the day that we just started throwing everything at this. We tried to redo the connection. We tried different thread sealing. We tried different thread tape. We tried JB Weld. The key thing about this day is that we have the Loctite 55. They say that this is going to solve the problems. Why didn't we have that from the beginning? It is my kind of wonder here. So at this point, we're doing a lot of work. We're proof of working out there. We're redoing connections, and if they don't work, per their advising, we're just gonna redo them again. 9 days later, we finally cracked the code. What is Dennis like? It's not fried pickles. It's not pickles. It's not banana chip. It's not blueberry muffins. No, it's banana big nut muffins.
This is good.
Alexa makes sourdough every time. Alexa's incredible. Dennis, did you like the banana nut muffins?
I love them. I'm getting another very soon.
Our sourdough is 200 years old, and Benjamin Franklin used to eat it. Yeah, it's passed down from a great grandpappy. Dennis, what do you think of my big wrench?
That is,
You like
that
it?
is a very nice big wrench.
It looks like your big
what
wrench.
What kind of a wrench is that?
It's heavy duty.
What kind of a wrench is that?
Made in China.
It's called a pipe wrench.
A 24-incher.
A pipe wrench.
A pipe inch. This is real tough. This is another thing I got. I spent hours in the Reddit subreddit for plumbing. I've never plumbed before, not really, but now I'm a plumber. Just like Mario. PTFE and this thread sealant. Our other thread sealant didn't have PTFE, but now we got PTFE. Water weld, JB Weld. Okay, this is gonna set in just not very long. Full cure in a day, but we're gonna full send it way before that. Set time of 15:25, and it sets hard in 1 hour. And it's rated to 4,300 PSI, which is well beyond whatever 2 to 3 max bars this system can handle. Furthermore, it can withstand temperatures up to 250 degrees Fahrenheit. Will this be watertight? I don't know, but I'm channeling my inner Billy Mays because I also have some Flex Seal in the shed. And we're gonna Flex Seal on top of this.
It's like the Hoover Dam in a can.
Alright, so there's a little drain plug down here. So we're trying to open it to drain all the fluid out so that we can appropriately take these off so they don't leak everywhere. Because right now they're leaking. We need to get all the liquid out. Try to reseal and block this leak.
Oh! You got to put it down and you got another bucket?
It kind of looks like it. Oh, it's good. Yeah. Nobody told me that. We're pumping up the jam. We're pumping up the jam. Hold on, everybody needs to know what happened. I got vetoed on JB Weldon with a vote of 1 to 3 on the Dream Plumbing team. But trust me, we're gonna be JB Weldon by the end of the day. Where?
Do you see the drip? There's 2 drips right there.
That's not goop.
I think it's good.
No, it's not.
Oh, you can see it from your side.
Alright, so we have resealed the points outside, but when we tried to pump it to check for any leaks, we found a leak inside.
I think it's in there. Send it.
I'm just calling to say
We got a quarter bar.
Alright, we're at 2 now. We're gonna go crack the bleed valve. When you shake it, you can see it here.
Wait, is that a bunch of fluid coming out of the bleed valve? Or the drain valve?
Oh, no, look, it's coming out right here at the bottom.
It's from the top, I think.
So it was leaking on the bleed valve, so
What?
now we're down to here.
Alright, so we're disconnecting the hand pump because we've got it up to 2 bars. Most of the air has bled out of the system as far as we can tell so far. We've closed this valve so that we can work on disconnecting the hand fluid pump. Colby's moving knobs, trying to find the solution, the answer. Oh!
Drain into 2.
Drain 2.
That's cool. Oh, there's 2 knobs, buddy.
Alright, so we are moving the hand pump, which we thankfully had on hand from our DCX enclosure install. So this, you need some sort of pump to, pressurize the system. So we're utilizing this Polish pump on the system. We've opened up both valves on the plumbing manifold there and there. And then we're going to connect the tube and then open the filler tube right there on the bottom. And so then we're going to put our 40% coolant, 60% water mixture in here that we're using undiluted coolant, and we've switched to the Walmart coolant. Same company.
No, it's useless. I mean, it probably people know what they're doing. That's what it means.
But I shall pump. We will manifest the pump.
We are leaking.
We're just leaking away.
See the air bubbles coming up there?
Well, this is pretty serious because now we have a full pressurized system.
Yeah,
This is really gonna suck. That was slow to leak.
it was. And, well, here too. Both of them.
So we've got a leak, so we're gonna try to feed the pressure back into this.
Multiple leaks. Alright, so we had 3 leaks on the left side of the immersion tank. Up here, behind the pump, and then also at the bleed valve on the dry cooler. We have addressed all of these leaks by taking it off, rewrapping it, tightening that one further.
So it was leaking actually where the valve body threads into the adapter to feed into there, and so I took that valve body off of that, which is an O-ring seal, made sure the O-ring was in the right place, put Loctite 55 on both sets of threads, tightened it all against each other, and then reinstalled it in the dry cooler.
So we removed the connection on the dry cooler. There's 2 connection points on there, so we took it off. There was an O-ring in it, or a gasket. We replaced it with a spare that we had. We've added the Loctite 55 thread tape, basically, or pipe sealer cord. And then we've also added the real tough PTFE thread sealant, and we did this to both connections because we have the fitting that we basically build and then put onto the immersion tank. The Loctite 55, it does seem to work much better, a better solution. I do like this real tough PTFE thread sealant better so far as well, I guess. I don't know if it's really needed, but we're already in here redoing connections. Why not use both? But don't ask me because I'm not a plumber, and if I was, I'd tell you that I can't give you professional plumbing advice. Oh, we flopped over to the field building. Nice little warm sit down. We got lunch, recording lunch this time. Today it was so terrible, there was no lunch video. But we're back with a lunch video. It's Dennis, he got his steps in. And this is our old kitchen table, which you may remember some GPU mining rigs on it. All right, we're back from lunch. Dennis, how was lunch?
Excellent.
Excellent.
Thank you.
All right, so we're out here, day 9. Install, sun shining, a ray of hope. We're not leaking, but we did leak earlier. Or at least I could say we're not leaking on the outside. Let's go inside. Thank you, Cortana. All right, so first we glance at the bar. 2 bars, it looks a little lower though. 2 bars, looks about the same though. Gotta peek under here. This is our redo. Looks dry. This one looks dry. These connections, I think this one's looking a little sus, but looks dry. Looks dry. We had that leak there. Alexa discovered a leak. Alexa, help us.
Well, I think there's a really minimal one inside, and I want you to look at this one outside, because you can also see it coming down the pipe here. Down there, does not look fresh.
Yeah.
And I think it's from the tube, not the pipe.
That wouldn't really make sense though.
Unless it's dripping down. I mean, I can move this, but that's wet. That's really wet.
What?
This string.
All right, we're JB welding. JB welding, there's no coming back from the JB weld. It's a 2-part epoxy. I see 1 part, 2 part, and you mix them, chemical reaction, and this becomes a very permanent thing. Hardens. It's called a cold weld. What do you think of the JB weld? Too generous? Perfect. Oh, whoa, not getting good adhesion down there.
So here are the connection points after the first application of JB Weld. And again, we have tape, we did Loctite 55, we did that tough like goop thing, and it was still leaking. So this is our last resort. If this doesn't work, I'm not sure what else we can do. And it is still slightly coming out here. Not really sure what else to do at this point. And this is an issue, although it's a slow leak, it will reduce the pressure over time within the system, which means it won't get actual effective cooling properly eventually. You could probably still run it for a few days, but obviously as it continues to leak, the pressure will go down.
We're at a JB Weld, boys. Darkest hour. That's all we have left. All right, we are prepping miners for dunkage. Granted, we just discovered yet another leak in the endless saga.
Where's it gonna leak?
So, Colby, what are we doing aside from that?
Just taking fans off miners right now.
So we've already loaded brains onto all of these miners, and then on one of them we have an Epic control board, minus the micro BT What's miner. I'll talk about that in a little bit. But basically we can take the fans off. By removing the fans, one less part to fail, liquid flows freer there, and yeah, it's just some work to do.
They have mounting things that we put on, and we think that they're supposed to go in there so that they don't move around. So we're gonna try that. To the left. Yeah. Is that good? Alright, 1 glove, 5 to go. No, it wasn't it. Well, you guys have done like 2 more buckets since then. Drew's is
Now
going
they're trying to
straight
run
in
up.
there now.
That's what doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
turn it on. We fired up the dry cooler part of the cabin, and it's automatically tripping. The good news is the information that was spit back to us was in Russian, so we have our translators on the line.
Co jest, kurwa? Mordo. Pingwin. Austriacki pingwin.
Colby, what did you switch?
I switched the phase direction, so hopefully it's 1, 2, 3 instead of 1, 3, 2 or something like that.
Okay.
It's in order, hopefully.
Oh.
We're trying again?
Yeah, okay, come on.
Damn.
Oh.
Right off. Might have went off quicker though.
Yeah, that was quick. Oh. It's beautiful.
It's thorough.
BiXBiT.
I mean, right now it doesn't look like it's leaking.
Only leaking flex seal.
Oh, actually, I just saw the water drip down and run right there.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, I see it too. Oh my god, not even a Flex Seal can do this.
Flex Seal is a scam. Flex Seal.
We're still leaking. Yeah, we're still leaking the flex seal. They must have rugged us.
Flex Seal rugged us. All right, it's the end of day 9. The 6 cell and the 2 to 3 cell are both still not operational. We've got multiple leaks between the systems. The VFD, which is basically what runs the fan on the 6 miner, is not working. I've dunked my 6 miners, so I'm losing around 600 terahash of mining capacity. Took a leap of faith and died. Ate shit. So I'm standing there in the dark with a leaking system that's not working, and every time we fire it up, the breaker's tripping. And expressed our frustration to BiXBiT, and they have stepped up to supply a lot of customer service, answering questions, recommending this didn't work, try that, record what you're doing, send it to us. And they even offered to send one of their technicians out here to complete the installation. I do want to compliment BiXBiT that they have worked with us in this entire process. And although there's been many frustrating moments that we've gone through in this process for whatever reason, BiXBiT did not abandon us. They were not unresponsive, and they continued to work with us and problem solve. So at this point, they basically say, undo the connections on the dry cooler and wrap it 3 times, 4 times, as much as the manufacturer recommends. We end up wrapping these connections 20, 30, revolutions. And we weave them in. And if it leaks, we take it out and we do it again. We wrap it so many times that it becomes too much wrap, right? And it just gets pushed out. Then we back off from there, and it's just, it doesn't work, do it again, a little bit differently. I also completed another install, so I pulled 2 of the miners out of this to get them back online, because of course when this happens, Bitcoin starts going up, I'm getting frustrated. So then we have 4 miners just sitting there, not working until we get that system back online. We keep redoing the connections that day until we get a seal. Trial by fire, right? So those connections are redone and redone and redone. And then we make some adjustments. We bypass the breaker that was weak. We have a weak breaker here in the system, and they've dispatched us a replacement for that. We pressurize the system, we fire it up, we bypass the breaker, and it starts running, and it's not leaking. And we breathe a sigh of relief. ADD! What is Russian? Oh God, it is Russian! It is holding pressure, it's not leaking, it's running well, it's working. Good. The VFD is an interesting design. This is very advanced, but my initial impressions are that it's sophisticated, it's efficient, it's a low power draw, it's doing a lot of cooling for a very high energy capable system at a low power usage, which I personally enjoy. And anyone will obviously enjoy, because it's reducing your electrical cost, it's reducing your expenses to run a mining operation here with their system. And it even is so smart that if it doesn't need to run, if it's below the cooling threshold, it won't run. So it'll just kick on when it needs to. So we'll watch this heat up. So it's going to heat up to 33 Celsius, and you're thinking, is it going to kick on? No, we're probably going to go to 34. So 35 Celsius, we can see the system kick on here. You see the power draw right now, the fan's running at about 15%, consuming 1.6 amps. And now that it's spinning, right, it's running this air through the radiator. It's cooling the fluid. And you saw it was going, the temperature was going up, and now it's starting to plateau, and then it's gonna bring the temperature back down. And once it reaches its cool threshold, it'll turn off. I'm I love the fact that this has a temperature readout. I did not realize that to begin. I think it's something that they should really, advertise and promote because that is it's very nice. I love that in comparison, I love that the fog hashing units have an easy to read display that gives you temperature, right? 31, 34 on these systems. And to contrast that with a DCX system, they do not have a real-time temperature readout. So I actually have some drop gauges and temperature meters that I'm going to install in these and basically give myself a real-time temperature readout. So Dennis, what do you think about the BiXBiT installation as we just finished it out? We're doing a long-term leak test here. Going to wait about a week. We call it the little bit, the 2 to 3 miner BiXBiT system, and the 6 miner we call it the BiXBiT is currently it's not leaking. It's holding pressure, so that's good. We have 4 miners running in there. So the system's operational. See, it's kicking on right now to cool. Dennis, what do you think about the BiXBiT immersion systems? You're an experienced immersion mining operator. You've got you manage farms with literally hundreds of miners immersed.
It's a nice system. It is probably a little challenging for most home miners. If you have a good electrical background, you have a good plumbing background, it's something that you can probably put together. It was a bit challenging, but overall the system does seem to work well and seems to be one of the more efficient immersion setups that we've seen.
And how many days went into the installation?
So if we go all the way back to pouring the concrete pad and things of that nature, we're talking 12, 13 days worth of pretty much full-time effort to get this up and running.
What was the biggest hurdle with the system?
Just the constant leaks. Some of the plumbing didn't quite go together as well as it should have, and as a result we had to constantly redo all of the plumbing, which is very frustrating.
What's your favorite thing about the system?
I do like the variable speed, variable frequency drive for the VFD for the fan for the dry cooler. That can be very handy in the summer months and reduced during the winter months. Right now the fan is shutting off periodically, which it would be better if that were running at a very slow speed on a constant basis and then just ramp up when it needed to cool more.
And that may be due to the fact that we only have 4 miners deployed in here and they're on efficient settings, in defense of BiXBiT's system. It's not oversized. We're not utilizing it to its proper capacity at this time as we work through the troubleshooting phase.
If you are interested in experiencing immersion mining at scale, this would be an interesting way to start. It is not, in my opinion, intended for home gamers. It is more complex from electrical and mechanical perspective than any of the other ones we've worked with. So it is the equivalent of an industrial mining unit, just scaled down, basically.
What's your favorite thing about the BiXBiT immersion mining systems?
I think the interior, the control, the electrical, all of that stuff is done very well. It's labeled, it's nicely done. It's a little confusing unless you're kind of used to reading the diagrams, but the wiring is good. It's all standardized. It all uses normal parts. So if you needed to get a replacement for the breakers, it's all standardized stuff you can get even in the US.
So that's what you like. What do you dislike, if anything?
There's something like 40 leakable connections on there, on each of them. Even if you only have a couple % failure rate, there's still a lot of leaks. So there's a lot of leaks. So it's really time consuming to go through and dig out all the leaks and figure out exactly why they're leaking, how they're leaking, and then how to resolve that leak. So that's the worst part, is trying to figure out what's leaking, why, how to fix it.
I think it has a lot of room to grow, especially when it's advertised as a plug-and-play system. We've reviewed several plug-and-play systems, and I believe this one to be the least plug-and-play. You definitely need a background in some sort of electric and plumbing, lots of points of failure, and I feel like we hit every single point of failure, and it took an extremely long time to get it up and running. Luckily, BiXBiT was able to set aside some time and give us some tips to get it up and running, but I don't think your average user could pick this up and complete an install without any issues.
There is one more thing I do want to say, that BiXBiT has been extremely responsive to any questions that we have and been very involved in making sure that we do get a solid installation. Now, your mileage may vary, but in this particular setup, they've been very responsive to our needs. So they get a good shout out for that.
The power usage of this system is very low. The overclocking capabilities, right? How much power you wire up to this thing, straight freaking copper, right? And they recommend 150 amp breaker so you can, you know, juice it up. I've only put a 125 amp breaker, which I think is plenty for how I like to run my miners. I mean, there's only 6 miners in there, you know, do the math. That's a lot of electrical capacity overhead in a good way, you know, if you plan to utilize it or, you know, whatever. Furthermore, the initial impressions, sorry, to get to the point, is very impressive, right? All of this industrial grade equipment. This is like a massive, big immersion mining farm deployment that was quite literally shrunk down. There's some very good things that come with that. And this big fan is very low power usage. It's clocking in right now nearly 10% of the DCX 8 miner immersion system. So, you know, there's a lot of efficiency there with the VFD, with temperature probes that's, you know, sensing in real time if it needs to turn on, at what speed, for how long. So the miners run, the pump in the tank's working, the wire management from BiXBiT factory is very good. You know, if we zoom in on the tank, they have a very good tank design, right? We have miners on one side, we have the tank mechanicals on the other side, like the pump and the heat sink and things like that. And the power cords are pre-ran in the tank. There's a switch that's in that tank. So it only has one Ethernet connection coming out of the tank that is then split to run internet to 6 different miners. Reach out to them to get real-time pricing, but you can roughly expect to spend about $1,400 per miner immersed in the BiXBiT cell system. The cell system, I'm assuming, you know, you're talking about the 6 miner, the 2 to 3 cell miner will save you a couple $1,000 and you'll have about half the capacity. Keep in mind, they also have scalable rack systems to deploy many more miners, and they've also designed a shipping container with immersion in mind. So adding fluid, dunking miners, powering them up, it runs and it runs well. And the initial impressions are that the BiXBiT immersion mining systems are, you know, very difficult. They're expert level to install, and the burden of this dry cooler design really kind of necessitates a concrete pad. I mean, I've got a concrete guy, him doing bag concrete in this pad, which came out to be like 10 feet by 3 feet, and you see that it's about the size you need. This is about the minimum concrete pad you needed to deploy both of these coolers, the dry coolers, side by side. Bam, instant $1,000. You know, $1,000 to get that done. You know, you could DIY it. I hope you have a lot of time. You know, this is very interesting. I mean, this is, you know, very tradesman level concrete work, from designing that pad, pouring the pad, drilling the pad, erecting the super strut. You know, that is a very difficult step, you know, for many people. Skills that and tools that they may, you know, not have. But I just kind of keep coming back to it. It's like pro grade level stuff, industrial stuff. Everything's nice. And the end result is so far impressive and high performance, but incredibly laborsome to install, and their kit is more expensive than their competitors. This has been a huge learning experience for me, and has pushed the limits for me in some of my trade skills. I was thankful to have BMA, Dennis and Colby, their crypto division here, on site to help us work through this installation. because, you know, some of these things are outside of my wheelhouse, Alexa's wheelhouse. And these types of installations are much easier, much more fun with friends, with colleagues, things like that, because, you know, it's when you start to get frustrated, you start to shut down, it's good to have someone else to lean on a little bit, you know, if that's a possibility. If you don't have somebody like that, make sure to join the VoskCoin Discord server. Make sure to join the VoskCoin Talk forum. Reach out, right? Throw a line. I'm here to help you, right? If you're getting frustrated with any kind of mining install, upload some pictures and videos, ask some questions. I'll chime in among many other incredibly knowledgeable community members. I'm really thankful for the opportunity to review these immersion systems, and just to make it really clear, as always in full transparency here, this video is sponsored by BiXBiT. They made this install possible. We did not pay for this. We were compensated to do this. And we do really appreciate them modifying their normal systems that were originally all designed around 3-phase power to enable us to do a single-phase electricity deployment. It should have been obvious enough along the way. I don't know if it was ever really clearly stated, but this is a single-phase electrical installation for both of these systems. Currently at the VoskCoin mining farm, we only have single-phase electricity. We're working actively with our electric company to bring a 3-phase electricity out to our mining farm. So it's really cool and exciting to be able to test numerous different immersion systems and to kind of see where we want to take our mining endeavor in the future. It's easy to get frustrated when things aren't going your way. And me personally, I have a lot of things pulling me a lot of different directions. So if I'm like, yeah, that'll take a day, and it takes 10 more days than I expected, it becomes very stressful for me personally. And it's difficult, because I really only had one day budgeted, you know, possible for that. And it starts to push a lot of other things, you know, down the road. You get behind schedule or whatever. I've been running at a very fast pace for many years. It's difficult. And if I fall off the tracks, it's punishing to me in my work life and my personal life and, you know, everything in between. But if this was approached in a more leisurely aspect, I don't think that myself and others would have gotten as frustrated at times. You know, I'm just trying to get after it, right? And I've been doing this for a long time, but I really got, like, I'll be honest, it hasn't really made a difference because I've been grinding, like, truly hard for a very long time, especially through the most recent bear market and, you know, well beyond that. But let's just focus on what matters right now. I've been putting in the time, putting in the work, and I mean, just mining is, when you try to start scaling up, it really is just, you know, a lot of work depending how you go about it and what systems you use. Immersion is so cool, but, you know, these BiXBiT systems are complicated, right? I mean, look at this plumbing fixture, look at this electrical, you know, but don't be, you know, too intimidated by immersion. There are some, you know, easier solutions, and we're still trying to gather all the data to figure out, you know, which one's performing better, why. But, you know, very cool opportunity, and thankful for it out here, just to be grinding, building the VoskCoin mining farm, and also working on content for the VoskCoin YouTube channel. So anyway, that's all I got. Very exciting, cool, happy ending to the video. We are up, we are online, mining farm density is up, hash rate is up, and now we just want that market to go up too, right? So I appreciate you guys. Thanks for tuning in. I mean, you watch the videos this long, like, you're one of the real ones. So, and even though it's a nasty world, right? But the dad advice of the day, because I'm a proud Doge dad, is what can you do for somebody else or some other thing? You know, in particular, one of the most impactful things, right? You know, you adopt a dog. You know, if you're a dog guy, if you're into that, you may not be the person suited for that. But, you know, you adopt a dog. You think you're going to change their life. You think you're going to save their life, and lo and behold, they change your life and they save your life. You know, so everybody's always focused on dollar bills, or hopefully more importantly, things like Bitcoin. But, you know, money changes the game, yeah, but it doesn't buy happiness, absolutely not. But you need some fun, so alas, I continue to chase happiness and financial freedom. I'm done talking. Goodbye.